10 countries warning their citizens not to visit the United States. The United States is often seen as a dream destination, with its vibrant cities, world-class attractions, and economic opportunities. However, not everyone views the U.S. as a safe place to visit. Several countries have issued official warnings to their citizens about traveling to America due to concerns over gun violence, crime, political unrest, and other safety issues. In this video, we'll take a look at 10 countries that have advised their people to be cautious or even avoid traveling to the U.S. altogether. Number 10. Mexico. Mexico, the U.S.'s southern neighbor, frequently warns its citizens about traveling to certain parts of the United States, particularly border states where crime and racial profiling are more common. Mexican authorities have raised concerns about anti-immigrant sentiment, the risk of hate crimes, and aggressive law enforcement tactics against Latinos. Additionally, Mexico warns about gun violence and advises its citizens to take precautions when visiting major U.S. cities. Despite these warnings, millions of Mexicans travel to the U.S. every year for work, tourism, and family visits. Number 9. Bahamas. The Bahamas, a small Caribbean nation with close ties to the U.S., has issued travel advisories for its citizens, particularly young men, due to concerns about police brutality and racial profiling. The Bahamian government warns that young black men are at higher risk of being targeted by law enforcement in the U.S. Additionally, the Bahamas highlights concerns about gun violence and mass shootings, advising its citizens to be aware of their surroundings and avoid high-crime areas. Despite these warnings, the U.S. remains a top travel destination for Bahamians. Number 8. Venezuela. Venezuela has taken a strong stance against travel to the United States, issuing one of the most serious warnings on this list. The Venezuelan government highlights the risks of violent crime, mass shootings, and racial discrimination against Latin American travelers. Additionally, Venezuela warns about the aggressive immigration policies in the U.S., which could lead to deportation or detainment for those with questionable documentation. Given the tense relations between the U.S. and Venezuela, travelers from Venezuela are advised to exercise extreme caution or reconsider visiting altogether. Number 7. Japan. Japan has a reputation for being one of the safest countries in the world, so it's no surprise that Japanese officials caution their citizens about traveling to the U.S. due to its high crime rates. The Japanese government particularly warns about gun violence, which is almost non-existent in Japan. Additionally, Japan's travel advisory points out risks associated with theft, scams, and carjackings in certain parts of the country. Japan also highlights the lack of universal healthcare in the U.S., advising travelers to secure medical insurance before visiting. Number 6. France. France has officially warned its citizens about several safety issues in the United States, including gun violence, racial tensions, and police brutality. The French government advises travelers to be cautious in large cities, where crime rates are higher, and to avoid certain neighborhoods, especially after dark. France also warns about the increasing political instability in the U.S., with concerns over protests and potential violence. Additionally, travelers are urged to be aware of America's strict drug laws, as even minor infractions can lead to serious legal consequences. Number 5. Germany. The German government has listed the U.S. as a country where travelers should exercise increased caution, mainly due to high crime rates and gun violence. Germans are particularly warned about the risk of mass shootings, which are far more frequent in the U.S. than in Germany. Additionally, Germany warns its citizens about the legal complexities surrounding law enforcement interactions in the U.S., and advises travelers to follow all local laws strictly. German officials also highlight the risks of political protests turning violent and caution against engaging in any demonstrations while in the U.S. Number 4. China. China has issued strong warnings to its citizens about traveling to the United States, particularly due to concerns over racial discrimination, violence, and the general treatment of Chinese nationals. The Chinese government warns that Chinese citizens may face increased scrutiny, suspicion, or even hostility, especially during times of heightened political tension between the two countries. Another concern highlighted by China is the risk of gun violence and mass shootings, with officials advising their citizens to avoid large gatherings in crowded public spaces. Number 3. New Zealand. New Zealand, like its neighbor Australia, has raised concerns about gun violence in the US. The New Zealand government advises its travelers to remain aware of their surroundings and avoid high-crime areas, particularly in large cities. Another major concern for New Zealand travelers is the inconsistency in healthcare coverage. Unlike New Zealand's universal healthcare system, the US has expensive medical costs, and travelers are warned to ensure they have proper insurance before visiting. Political unrest and protests are also mentioned as potential risks for New Zealanders traveling to the US. Number 2. Australia. The Australian government has repeatedly updated its travel advisory for the United States, citing concerns over mass shootings and gun-related violence. Australia has some of the strictest gun laws in the world, and its citizens are not accustomed to the level of firearm access seen in the US. The Australian government specifically warns about the risks in public spaces, such as shopping malls, schools, and entertainment venues. Additionally, Australian officials caution their citizens about racial tensions, police brutality, and the risk of civil unrest in some parts of the country. Number 1. Canada. Canada, America's northern neighbor and closest ally, has issued travel warnings about visiting the US due to concerns over gun violence and mass shootings. The Canadian government warns its citizens about the high rate of firearm-related incidents in the US, which are far more common compared to Canada. Additionally, Canada advises travelers to be aware of racial profiling, particularly for minorities, and to be cautious when engaging with law enforcement. While millions of Canadians travel to the US every year without issues, the government urges vigilance, especially in areas with high crime rates. While the United States remains a popular travel destination, it's clear that many countries have serious concerns about the safety of their citizens when visiting. From gun violence and crime to racial tensions and political unrest, these warnings highlight the risks that international travelers might face. If you're planning a trip to the US, it's always a good idea to stay informed, be aware of your surroundings, and take necessary precautions to ensure a safe and enjoyable visit. Would you travel to the US despite these warnings? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more travel insights.